son told me one time, he said, "You use men." And I was like, huh? He said, "You play them for money, you play them for stuff." He said, "So I don't respect women." He said, "Because if you could do it, they could do it." And I was like, I never did that. I said, the opposite was they was giving me that to keep y'all shut up so they could have your mama. Let's get it straight.
Facts.
Hey, that's cold.
But it's all about perception. It's all about perception. And that's the crazy thing about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're children looking at adult affairs and we're not necessarily knowing what's going on as far as the particulars is concerned. All I see is Mr. Scott coming in every other weekend, you know what I'm saying? And you know,
buying pizza and handing your money and getting your new Nintendo game and all of that. And that's just to shut you up.
But on the same token,
dang,
like
all them games,
he looked like I was using him to get them stuff.
What's happening, man? Could y'all stop rewriting y'all shenanigans? You know, the history of y'all shenanigans. You know, they say like, "Mama, you was using men." When I saw them, you know, just repeating what they said. When I saw them, men come by, you used them for stuff. Then mom says, "Yo, basically, they was buying me stuff and to give y'all stuff because they wanted to be with me and not y'all." Here's where the problem lies. You kept taking it, right? So you kept taking the stuff and pushing your kids off to the side too. Oh, but we're not going to talk. We're not going to see. This is what I mean by revisionist history. I know people like this. And what they're not going to say is this. They need to use guys to buy their kids stuff to get their kids' attention so they can get a break from their kids. Because them kids didn't come out of nowhere. There was some serious fucking going on. So guess what? Buy them some pizza, get them a video game, tell them they can play it, they be loud, we in the back. Stop acting like this is a, you know, when you get pressed about the situation, like, "Yeah, I remember how you was doing people." No, you don't understand. You don't really get it. And they was using me, and they wanted me so much that they kept coming every other week and buying me stuff. Well, to be with me and not y'all. Well, here's the question: why they stop? Why they stop? Because you was for sale. Why they stop? Why y'all fall out? Did y'all fall off for the kids, or did y'all fall off for something else? See, we don't talk about that era of relationships where some people, they were using people, some people got used. I'm keeping it a buck. Some people wanted somebody to be there for their kids, and they was trying to sell their body to get a daddy. And some people just wanted a break from their kids. And some of those people weren't good parents, right? So sometimes the breakups came because, "Oh, you just a terrible mother. Yeah, I can't keep coming. I'm not going to keep buying these kids pizza and food because, every other week I'm buying these kids food and I'm realizing the fucking refrigerator empty." Because y'all forget when them kids, when they done eating, and they put them to bed, they put them to sleep, cheeks getting clapped that night, and then they go to the refrigerator and they realize, damn, it ain't nothing but butter and Kool-Aid in this bitch. What the fuck is she doing? No, I can't. No, we're not doing this. So this becomes a issue, in my opinion, because y'all leave out. People like to tell half truths and half stories, and they leave out the other half of the story. And then you got people who become adults and they go and they stick to the story they know. But y'all don't ever ask the other people. You get what I'm saying? And I hate to say this, But I gotta say this, and I'm not talking about this woman because I don't, but I've seen this happen. There are a lot of mothers who have brainwashed their kids with a life of half truths. So they'll tell them something because they raised you. So they're gonna tell you some shit the way that they do it and the way you're accustomed to hearing it because you've been trained that way, and you won't question it because they tell you enough truth that you can go, oh yeah, I get it. But they leave out, the part that you go, wait a goddamn minute. They do the same shit in court. When you go to family court, they do the same shit. That's why fathers don't like them fucking judges. Oh, he beat the kid, John. Did you put your hands on that kid? What are we talking about? Have you ever put your hands? Yeah. She told me to come and discipline him and whip him for doing this. I don't want to hear that. You beat the kid. You say he beat the kid, John. Okay, this is what we doing. See, that's the shit that keeps going on. Now, I'm talking about this because of the effects of it. Because when you have a grown man, I'm assuming it's a grown man, tell his mother that I use women because I watched you use men. And then now I got to plant the seed to reverse this shit because I didn't cause this problem. But it's like, hold up, dog. Time out. It's too late in the people that got used mind, because he said you used men when he was a kid, so he felt like he could use women as an adult, and he used women, and now that he's approached you and told you this, now you're gonna tell him, oh, it was the men that was the bad guys. No, you don't understand. They never liked you. Like I'm putting sauce on it, but they ain't really like y'all. They like me, so they with me, and they had to pay the toll to be with me, and it's like, it's funny that they kept paying the toll and you kept accepting the money or the fee, let's just say. But now that the kid's an adult, this is where the kids go wrong. So you grew up to be the dude. Since she said the guy was a user and was using her, you grew up to be a user. And you did, and then and I guarantee it, you had to see the whole gamut of what's going on. Or was you just sorry as a motherfucker? I'm adding sauce. I might be adding sauce. I might not. But while you out here using people, if somebody is stand up and doing the right things, or you just getting over on the person, already. Or if somebody playing games too, so you just playing games with them. You know this already. So this becomes the issue with revisionist history, because when you can revise history, you try to revise history to kill the truth. And especially in the parties involved, the truth never dies. And even when you pass that concept from one generation to the next, people start asking questions like, "Wait, that shit don't sound right. That something's off about that." You know what I'm saying? People ain't ever really figured that out. So now I'm gonna add this part to it. Doggone computer glitching, whatever. This has something to do with that conversation, but this is expanding it. When it comes to this relationship aspect, people have a way to paint themselves as a victim, but they never paint themselves as the person that got victimized. And what I mean is this: they can tell you what people did to them, but they can't tell you what they did to other people. You know what I mean? They didn't say, you victimized another person. You did something to another. They never say that shit. I ain't gonna say never, but rarely. They don't go, yeah, I was, because she could have just said, yeah, I used them guys. I was using them, and they was using me. Fair exchange, ain't no robbery. That's what we was doing. Because if somebody coming by every other week, that's planned out. Especially at the time when there probably was no cell phones. You got to call and check in and set up a date. Yeah, you got to do all that shit, even with cell phones. You got to do all that shit. So you can't be a participant and a victim. You know what I'm saying? You're an accomplice. So that's just my point in this. Like, because what winds up happening is people get on social media and they start talking about things, but they ain't really keeping it 100. They're not keeping it a buck. They're not really telling the whole truth. So it becomes sometimes fantasy rage bait material, in the sense of, we're going to take each situation separately, but we're not going to break down what was actually going on in that time period. So that's why I'm saying what I'm saying, but I'm going to leave it at that. Peace.